Howdy, this is Ronclay here, and we are live with the Six Gaming Podcast. Along with me this week is Mr. Pantherian himself,
Hey.
and we got a pretty light episode this week. Of course, Veg, of course, got his new job not too long ago, so he's kind of been busy working. So he'll be taking a hiatus for at least a week. Hopefully we'll have him back next week. Get the show a little on the heavier side, so to speak. So, anyway, let's go ahead and get ourselves started here, and we're going to start with our news of the week. That's right, this is Six Gaming News Network. I'm going to keep using that.
Do.
And, Pent, why don't you get started?
So I picked this earlier in the week, and it's not quite as bad as it was earlier, I think. But basically, so the iPhone 6 launched this week, and there were some early reports of it breaking in people's pockets. Specifically, people who put it into the iPhone 6 Plus, which is the larger one, and they would put it into their back pocket in some like skinny jeans with the top facing downward, and then they would sit. And the way that it would sit, like your butt would press on it, and it was flexing at the place where the volume buttons are in the aluminum case. So there's a stress concentration, and it would bend, and the beautiful sapphire glass would stay intact.
Oh, it's not sapphire glass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were unable to use that for this because of the they just didn't have the supply for it. So it's still the Gorilla Glass, I believe.
Oh, well, in any case, I thought it was not breaking. It's not, the glass isn't breaking, but the aluminum is starting to bend, and in some cases separating from the glass. So since I thought that would be a fun story to tell, I've seen some other experiments where they've done a 3-point bending test, which is what I presume that Apple did when they were developing this. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the PSI required to bend it is not a whole lot less than other phones on the market. So I'm not exactly sure what it is that's causing this to have complaints more than other phones. I don't know if it's exactly where that stress concentration is, so it's easier to bend it.
Probably because people buy iPhones more than they buy any other phone.
It could be, but I feel like we would have seen there would have been other complaints about other Android phones or Windows phones if this had been a widespread problem. I mean, Android has a wider market, but you're right that that's overall Android of all phones, not just this one exact model.
Yeah. Yeah, I posted a link on the Facebook page about this. Consumer Reports is saying that the iPhone 6 bend gate is a little overblown.
Yeah. It is a problem, and they probably need to fix it, but it's not as big as it seemed to be earlier this week.
That's good. That's good at least. But yeah, I still got my 5S right here. I'm kind of glad that I didn't upgrade to the 6 because I did get a chance to hold on to a 6 and a 6 Plus. I've seen them both from a couple of people I work with, and already I'm having trouble holding the 5 with one hand. And the 6 is just worse.
Yeah.
It's hard to reach, like, they don't have the power button on the top anymore. But I mean, you have to double tap to bring the top part of the screen down so that you can click on some of the stuff in there. But that just seems like too much work. It doesn't seem very intuitive.
I would say one of the things that I'm interested in that it has that Android L, which I believe is going to be Lollipop, will probably have is like always-on encryption and basically encryption good enough that you're not going to have any problems with people looking at it that aren't supposed to. So this is the kind of post-Snowden world that we live in. So these phones are going to be, if you have it locked, then the police or whoever in NSA aren't going to be able to get into it without your permission.
Well, I mean, they probably have a backdoor in it already. So,
well,
NSA is NSA.
Well, yes, the supposed situation is that there's no backdoor and no way for them to crack it, but that's wishful thinking.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's it's good that it's not as big of an issue. I've never had that problem with the 5. Of course, I dropped my 4S and shattered it not too long ago, which sucked. But this time to get a new one anyway. It's like 2.5 years old.
I'm kind of amazed I've never broken my phone. I stepped on a flip phone in college because it was dark in the middle of the night, and like I stumbled into my room, actually not inebriated, just very tired coming back from a party, and I took my pants off and then tripped on something.
Whoa! You can stop right there.
Yeah.
Cole's getting here to get excited over, so
I was getting ready for bed, and just tripped and stepped on it and just
Ow.
crunched it in half.
Oh, that would.
But that was like a $20 phone, so I'm not too torn up.
Back when my wife used to have a Nokia, and every once in a while she'd go out on these. She'd go. She works as a police dispatcher, so she'd have an opportunity to ride with one of the officers. Well, her phone slipped out of her pocket at some point in time, and when she went back to collect it, someone had ran over it.
Ugh.
Yeah, pieces everywhere. It's great. So, anyway, my iPhone 3G ended up with some water damage on the screen. So part of the screen was kind of bad, and I could never fix it. That's why I upgraded to the 4S, and then the 5S I had to upgrade because 4S broke. So, yeah, cool. So iPhone 6, pretty big launch. Cool. All right, so I wanted to circle back around to a bit of news that we've covered a few weeks ago. Lizard Squad on your internet, ladies and gentlemen. They are back, and they have already hit Destiny, and they're even they're ready for some more attacks this weekend. Now they haven't said what they're going to attack. I don't believe that they've posted anything. I can check now. Yeah, they haven't posted anything yet, so they haven't really been too active today. But it's kind of interesting because if they have a Twitter account, it's obviously @Lizard Squad, and they posted another video podcast where this guy does interviews, and they managed to get an interview with the Lizard Squad, and my God, I mean these it's terrible. The interview is awful. I mean, imagine having Veg host an entire show, the 6 Game Podcast.
We've had that. It's terrible.
We've had that. This is worse.
Wow.
These guys have no PR. Obviously, they have got no. They're just. The guy sounds like he's 16 years old. It's just nuts. The guy, he's asking him some pretty hard-hitting questions too. What would you say that your, what is Lizard Squad's mission statement? And the guy responds, "Lizard Squad on your forehead." It's like, what? I mean, it's just funny. I'm going to post a link to that video as well. I definitely recommend just checking out this video if you want to get a little inside information on what's going on with Lizard Squad, because they mess things up pretty good. They do distributed denial of the service attacks on so many different games, and they've started up again. They said that they were going away, but they kind of come back now. They said they got about 5 members. I hate them, and I think everybody who's been affected by them feels very similarly.
Unless they hit Steam, I'm good for now. So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been hitting up the single player a lot, so. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Lizard Squad on your internet, folks. They're not going anywhere for a while. Yeah, they're doing some nasty stuff. Like they're still ragging on that one Sony exec. Apparently, someone found his father's gravestone or grandfather's gravestone and took a picture of it and posted it somewhere.
Wow.
I mean, they're just they have no limits.
Well, and it's. I'm sure some of the people listening have seen the bash.org quote that has been one of the top 10 for the last, 12 years or something like that. And it was like the guys posted a little thing of guys, a dude dancing, and then the last line is, "I'm going to make a fortune when I invent a way to stab someone in the face through the internet.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you want to do to some of these people is like, how do you not realize that there's a real person on the other side of that computer? I think that's the problem with anonymity, and Ron and I and Ron's wife all experienced this a lot playing a game that we used to play where it was all text. You never saw someone's face. You never heard someone's voice.
Achaia.com, by the way.
Achaia.com. I'll use that as a game pick of the week eventually.
Yeah. Kind of funny.
But it was some of the worst. I mean, it was like the Mos Eisley of the internet sometimes. And that's fortunate. Actually, that would be some tech news for this week too. But 4chan type people every once in a while is just terrible people because they can't. The things that you say, you would never say it to someone's face unless you're a sociopath, or which some people very well could be. But overall, because you can't see them and you don't care about them because they're just a nameless, faceless person, you don't think of them as a person. And so that's why that ends up happening. If you had to confront the people that you talked about on the internet, it would be like in the end of Jay and Silent Bob, when they come around with everyone's forum comments.
Yeah, it's really bad. And so, like, one of the things that they say in the interview is, why are you guys doing this? The answer is, because we can.
Yeah.
No, they don't care about anything other than doing what they do and having fun at people's expense. They enjoy seeing the angry gamers. They enjoy seeing all the QQs and the trolls and stuff like that come out. They enjoy that.
And if they really are 16, then I would imagine they have absolutely no idea about the repercussions of this. And if they go down, I hope they go down hard and learn that.
No kidding. I mean, they really need to be taught a lesson one way or another. Unfortunately, it seems like that time is a ways off yet. So
yeah.
Lizard Squad. Well, let's get away from all this depressing stuff and move on to the game pick of the week.
That was bad news, everyone.
Yeah, it wasn't really good news this week. iPhone's breaking, Lizard Squad on your internet. We need to move on to something fun. So, Dan, give us a good game.
So we talked, and I don't think anybody's ever said this. Veg was talking about a cell phone game a couple weeks ago, and I couldn't remember what it was called. I don't think it was this one. Anyway, so I found one called Summoner's War, and I think the subtitle is Sky Arena.
Right.
It is a slightly grindy, but sort of collect creatures and fight type game. So it's got pretty decent 3D graphics. I will say it eats your battery like nothing else I've had on my phone before. I mean, it just half an hour of playing off battery will just it's like 25% per half hour that you play this game.
Oh my god.
So play with it plugged in, play with your screen dimmed down. It is rough. But anyway, you come in, you do like a tutorial thing. Everyone starts with the same 4 creatures or whatever. And it's got the same sort of deal as Spirit Stones or any of these other types of games where you fight your way through kind of quest areas. There's multiplayer battles. Occasionally a summoning thing drops and you can summon a new guy, and you can use guys you don't want to power up the guys you do want. It's pretty cool looking.
Wow, Spirit Stones. And it's interesting you say that because I went to their homepage just now. They're made by a company called Hive. Well, Hive and Gameville have apparently joined forces, whatever that means.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're the same company now or what, but yeah, it makes sense that they'd have similar playstyles. And
yeah. Although this doesn't have this has a little bit more of a Final Fantasy type vibe than a Puzzle Quest kind of vibe. There's no there's no matching or anything involved with this. It's you select which guy you want to attack, and you choose which kind of attack you want to do, and you do it. And you can actually put it on autoplay, so you can turn it on 3 times speed and just have your guys automatically attack, because there is some leveling, grinding to do. So you can just kind of let your guys run through levels. And I haven't run out of energy yet, but I feel like if I really did a long string of leveling, I would definitely run out of the energy which we discussed with Spirit Stones, has never been a problem. You never run out because you never really want to play quite long enough to go through all your energy.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that has appealed to me about Spirit Stones and why I still play it to this day. I actually just started the Lysis Continent, and it's starting to get pretty challenging. The first 13 chapters are nothing. It gets pretty challenging on the Lysis Continent.
Yeah, and that was the thing with Spirit Stones. Is so far I haven't run into any. A couple of the very end bosses of the areas have been a little bit challenging, but it's only taken 1 or 2 times to beat them. I mean, this, by the time you're to the 4th area, you have to go back and grind some of the first areas, but it's because it's automated, it's not too much of a pain. And so I've just been kind of playing it a little bit in the off time.
Well, yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I just went ahead, got on the Apple Store and downloaded it, so it's available on Apple, iOS, and Android as well.
My handle is Pentharian, like in most things.
I will be sure to look you up. All right, Summoner's War, Sky Arena. That's the name of that one. Very cool. All right, so I'm going to talk about something that I brought up in news not too long ago because I actually bought this game on Steam, and it is, of course, Gauntlet. This isn't like the previous games like Gauntlet Legends, stuff like that. No, this is meant to have the feel of the playstyle of the original arcade 4-player Gauntlet, and it lives up to its hype, I think, in terms of the playstyle. Now, it doesn't have a whole lot of content in it. There's only 3 different areas. Each area has 4 chapters. The first 3 chapters all have 3 floors, and the last chapter is basically a boss fight. And the boss fights are pretty good. They're not too hard to figure out, but I mean it's pretty fun. I've been playing as the elf, going around shooting things. But you know how they had the potions before? Well, this time instead, each you have these relics. Like for instance, I have these boots that when I activate them, I'll gain some run speed and leave behind a trail of fire. But it requires one of the potions. Whereas before the potions, I believe in the original Gauntlet, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been forever since I've even seen it.
It's been a long time.
It's just basically a bomb you can use.
I think that's right.
But there's summoning structures that you have to bring down. You can't bring them down with your light attacks. You have to use some special attacks to do it. I haven't played the wizard yet, but he looks like he's got some pretty fun mechanics. Whereas the other ones are just like left click to shoot things or slice things. You actually have to cast spells with him, and that makes it pretty fun. So I haven't really gotten too much past the elf. I've played it through once. I'm trying to play it on normal. It's got 4 difficulties. It's got easy, normal, hard, and the last one's called unfair. And the first the caption for that level of difficulty is, "We're so sorry." I actually tried to play through it. I almost got through the first level.
Yeah,
the first 2 floors, but couldn't beat the 3rd one.
I'm totally a story mode, easy mode kind of guy lately. Unless it's a total face roll. I mean, if it's just stupidly easy, so it's not even fun, and you just feel like a god from point 1. Then I'll turn it up a little bit. But if it's, as long as I have at least the danger of dying if I don't pay attention, it's just I'd rather play it through than spend a week dying on the same place over and over. Just it used to be fun to have that challenge, and now it's more annoying.
Yeah, Gauntlet is that, at least on easy level, is that kind of easy, where there is a danger of dying, but it's not too hard. You can get by it if you end up dying. Now, I want to speak about a couple of mechanics because they do say that I already mentioned about the difference in the potions. The food, whereas before you plug in a quarter and you have 700, if I remember the number right, 700 points, and each quarter you throw in, you get another 700 points, and
it keeps descending. It
goes down over time. Plus, if you get hit, you lose a big chunk. And you pick up the food to get more. Well, it's a little different. You just get a life bar, and your life bar stays the same unless you take damage. And if you take damage, obviously, if you get close to dying, he does still say, Elf needs food badly. Well done, Warner Brothers, for putting that in. Stuff like that. There's a lot of old touches like that, but the food does regenerate health, but there's a max life bar. It's just a traditional life bar. It's not like Gauntlet was. Death. At least on hard and unfair, if you die, your party has to have what's called a skull coin. And you gain skull coins over time by killing monsters. So every so often, it's basically your party gets an extra life after so many monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And if you run out of the coins, well, you can't res. So you might just be watching the rest of your team go on without you. So they also have multiplayer online. I have not tried that yet. So we'll have to see how that works.
Is there death in any of the chests?
It's not in a chest. Basically, what happens is in the first series of levels, the first 3 levels, the second floor has death. And what his mechanic is basically he'll spawn somewhere and he'll chase you. And if he catches you, you're dead. If you manage to outrun him for, I think it's like 15, 20 seconds, something like that, he'll despawn, and another 15 or 20 seconds later he'll come back and chase you again.
Gotcha.
Not a hard mechanic. In fact, of the 3 levels I played on Unfair, it was the easiest of the 3, bar none, because there's no summoners. The summoners are a pain in the butt on Unfair. But yeah, it's a very interesting game. Like the elf has bombs. Valkyrie can throw her shield around. There's a whirlwind attack on the warrior, and like I said, Merlin's got all kinds of spells to heal it. So very fun game. Definitely recommend checking out. It is $20. You're getting a AAA title here. Don't think you are. You're getting classic Gauntlet play with basically an updated graphics engine.
If you can wait 3 months, I'm sure it'll be on flash sale for $5.
I imagine it will. I think it's a pretty decent game for the price, and I've been playing a bit. I'm trying to grind. They got achievements, of course, with it being on Steam. There's like 40-some achievements. They have masteries and stuff. So like when you shoot 100 food, you get an achievement that gives you like a percentage of the health of the food value. If you shoot it again. So like stuff like that. You get these damage bonus. Kill 10,000, you get a 10% damage bonus permanent on that character, which is kind of neat. So yeah, very fun. Gauntlet by Warner Brothers is the producer. Steam, $20. Go get it. All right. Dan, you gonna get a drink?
I've got a beer right here.
All right, so I'm going to go through the quick update on the League of Legends Worlds scene. Of course, last week saw our first group stage in Taipei, where Samsung White and Edward Gaming advanced out of Group A. Edward Gaming actually had an interesting path out of their group because they lost to AHQ Esports, which wasn't predicted to get out of the stage, and they had to play a tiebreaker against them. But they did come out on top and ended up advancing as predicted. And then in Group B, Team Solo Mid almost got first. They beat Starhorn Royal Club on the last day, and all they had to do was beat the 1-4 SK Gaming to get to a tiebreaker game for first place to see who would have the higher seed. SK Gaming completely played spoiler and dominated TSM that game, and TSM made a very bad call at the end trying to go for the win when there were still a ton of objectives up that they could have gone for instead, and they ended up getting picked apart. It's a bad call. But they still advanced, so I mean, I got a couple weeks to shrug that off. Of course, they'll be in Korea next week for the semifinals, which that should be a lot of fun. This week, it's been all Group C and D. Group C is just phenomenally close right now. The top team is 3-1, but there's a scenario that plays out tonight in the three remaining games where all 3 teams could end up 3 wins, 3 losses. And that would be 3 tiebreaker games, because they basically put them in a bracket and do single elimination, which would be badass. I'm kind of hoping for that, but given that one of the teams is Samsung Blue, and I don't think they're going to lose 2 games today. Well, we might get a tiebreaker between LMQ and OMG, but yeah, LMQ beat OMG day 1, and they're 2-3. They just have to win one more game, or they're 2-2. They just have to win one more game to guarantee themselves at least a tiebreaker into the playoffs. If they win both their games today, they're in. And then Group D, of course, that's the group with Kaboom Esports, which is like the international wild card, which is code for free win if you're the other team. So right now, the Najum White Shield and Alliance top the group. Cloud9 has been struggling a bit. They came out 2-0 the first day, but they haven't won a game since. Their time's running out. They need to win today, or else they're going to be out of the group stage. And then one last thing, 2 other things I want to point out. First of all, the first game of day 3, which was the one that played early this morning, was Fnatic versus OMG. In the first round of that game, if I remember right, OMG beat Fnatic. This one went to 70 minutes, and there was one point in the game where the OMG Nexus was 1 hit from dead, and OMG managed to clear out the base, won the next team fight, went straight down mid, and ended up winning the game. And it was just such a crazy turnaround how that happened. Definitely, if you have not seen any of the World Games yet, I strongly recommend, if you see any game, make it Fnatic versus OMG from day 3. That is bar none, the best game of Worlds so far. And there's even it's kind of funny because they have 3 people casting the game, and somebody was taking a video of them while that game was going on, and they basically overlaid the video with the sound from the game, and it's just hilarious watching these guys literally jumping up and down like they're they were so amazed by the way the game was going. It's definitely worth a watch. It's a thread on Reddit if you want to check that out. I might even post it to the episode 41 thread. And then the last thing, of course, at the end of that game, what happened? Of course, the Fnatic's ADC Reckless was just so distraught, and he ended up literally bawling on stage for like 5 minutes. I mean, they had to get someone to come over, comfort him to get him out. That happened earlier with Najum White Shield, where the ADC was also, in tears over a hard loss. Well, I figured out that if you want to do really good in your next game, like godlike performances, you have to cry in the previous game, because Deft from Najum White Shield ended up with a 16-kill game the next game with no deaths. And Reckless not only went to 18 kills in his game against Cloud9, he ended up getting a pentakill as well. So, yeah, those guys, these guys take their wins and losses seriously, and they have no problem bouncing back from disappointing heartbreak like that. It's pretty neat to see. So, yeah, so Worlds group stages should wrap up today. There's at least 6 games. There's a potential to be as many as 14, which would just be insane if there's that many tiebreakers. So we'll see what happens. So, what's this about gold goblins being on vacation?
Hey, there's only so much goblining that we can gold and stuff.
Isn't that so
No,
much
we've given I think most of the general tips that we can, and none of the tips for this expansion are really going to be worth any gold anymore.
Right.
The Ghost Iron Shuffle was a huge one for this expansion, but at this point, it's not even worth it. The prices for everything are so low. The profits are so slim. That's just not worth it. And depending on what the gems do in the next expansion, there might not be an ore shuffle, which would actually really be too bad, because that was a huge way to make gold.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see what happens in the new expansion. But until then, we talked a little bit about studying up for the next expansion, and we'll try to give some pre-tips in the next couple of weeks, and also look around for some transmog pieces. Buy up some good. If you're bashing old content and you find You know, like one of the
Just
ninja
really used it.
swords, or I did use bashing.
Awesome.
Um, if you find like a ninja sword, or if you find like the champion's armor set, or anything like that, um, hang on to it, sell it on the auction house, and make some gold.
Absolutely, yeah. Um, even in these off times, it's always a good idea to keep an eye out for any good deals as well. So. Anyway, it's kind of funny because SMTR Guild News is pretty much the same. We did not kill Garrosh on Monday, and despite having a decent showing on Tuesday, we did not even have a raid on Wednesday because we only had 5 people from the guild show up, and that's kind of like my limit of not pugging. So it's pretty sad. I mean, it's the end of the expansion. I've been saying this for months now. We've been on this patch for what 12 and a half months now, something ridiculous like that.
I mean, there's a pie chart that shows how long everyone was on a patch, and it was awful.
Yeah, and it was like this in Wrath too. Wrath was particularly bad, but I think this one's been even worse. So we do have one of our raiders, right? Kara's Hunter has a lock at Garrosh. Based on what happened last week and how poorly we've been moving this week, that might be taken up on. So we might end up doing that. But I mean, if people don't show up, I can't do a whole lot. I know that we've had a few people having some real life issues that haven't been able to show up. A couple people. We've got people that show up for like the first couple months of the X Pack and haven't been seen again. Caddy. No names mentioned. And then we've got, it's kind of funny because, out of all the podcasters that regularly show up, I'm like the only one that raids every day. You've probably been there more than Veg and Coles have. Definitely more than Coles. So that gives you an idea of how much we've been, and we're just having a lot of problems getting raids together. We've got like this core group that shows up every day. It's like me, Soli, Ray Kara, Dutchy, Derry when her computer's working, Noru from Moonguard. He'll show up every once in a while. I don't know. It's the end of the X-Pack. I really have low expectations. It sucks that they're being fulfilled, but yeah, don't really have a whole lot else to say. I mean, just not a whole lot going on.
Total, we have had 429 days on Siege.
Oh my God, that's worse than I thought. That's like
for
29 days.
Wrath, for Ice Crown.
Is that how many we're going to have by the time the X Pack hits?
I believe so. 429 days.
So like I said, it's been 12 and a half months as of now.
Yeah, and what was the other one you were saying?
Wrath.
For which one specifically?
The last one, the last patch.
Ice Crown?
Wrath, Cataclysm.
We had 301 days on Dragon Soul. So 128 days longer.
Where do you see this?
I posted a pie charts on the website or on the group.
All right, yeah, I'll check it out. That's I don't know. That's serious business. That they've 14 months is just ridiculous. They have to come out with content faster or put something intermediate out there.
Yeah, they need to have more dungeons. I think would really be a huge thing.
I don't remember which X Pack it was. It might have been Burning Crusade that did this, because what they would do is they put out the initial expansion, and then the .1 patch would be a non-raid content patch, and then the .2 patch would be a raid content patch. And then the .3 was a non-raid content patch, and .4 would be a raid content patch. I think they should do something like that.
Yeah.
Give us something to do in between the raids. They make all these ever since Wrath. They've made every content patch about the new raids.
Well, what was the whole gathering resources for Zul'jin or whatever? That was a non-raid patch, but that was kind of boring, honestly. That was just a bunch of grinding. Gathering up the lumber and the food and stuff.
Okay, I'm trying to remember which patch that was. That was that also introduced Throne of Thunder,
Was it the same one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the one right before or after that.
So, I mean, I don't know. It might have been. I'm gonna have to double check now because we're on what 5.3. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was a separate patch. You're right. That was a.
Let's see if
But I
there's
mean,
a
for
list.
example, 5.3 could have been Timeless Isle.
Yeah.
5.4 could have been SOO 6 months later, or maybe not that long. But I thought Throne of Thunder did not have a good shelf life. It went quick.
5.0 was standard with the first raids.
Uh-huh.
5.1 was Landfall, which was the PvP conflicts on the shores of
5.2
Crestring.
was Throne of Thunder.
5.2 was Throne of Thunder. 5.3 was Escalation, which was a couple new scenarios, plus the campaign with those extra. You have to gather the crap. And 5.4 was Siege.
Oh, well, yeah. I guess they did do that then. Okay. My memory is just like completely shot.
Well, but it still didn't feel like much. I think it probably because our main we took a while to get through each of the patches for the raid content. So like the new stuff was coming through, but we hadn't finished the raids.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I just think that having a 14-month patch with nothing in between, what they did in what was it? Was it Wrath? I think it was Wrath of Lich King. I think what they did there was right, where they released a one boss instance.
Mm-hmm.
Give you something to do. It's really small, not a whole lot going on, but
Yep.
it was perfect. It fit the void very well.
Agreed.
So I don't know. I hope they learn from this mistake because, God,
I hope so because everyone has
on
been
and on.
saying the same.
Yeah, I mean the end of expansion blues has always been an issue. This is just making it far worse because now I have to go through another month and a half wondering if we're going to have raids every night. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get enough people here on Monday. Like I said, we might have Garrosh, we might not. It depends on who shows up, what we want to do, so on and so forth. So we'll see what happens there. But as far as future, I mean, we're still going to keep scheduling these raids. Like I said, the last raid's going to be the Monday after BlizzCon. That'll be our last raid of the X-Pack before we get back to raiding December 2nd. So that's the plan. So whole lot of nothing. we spent like 10 minutes talking about a whole lot of nothing. That's awesome.
Nah, it's okay.
Anyway, it's now time for Shosan's favorite part of the podcast. It's what the fuck are you listening to?
The talk.
Thank you. I'm missing Brox this week. Yeah, it's like he's my right hand man. I don't know what else to say. But you filled that role this week, and I appreciate that. Right hand man. Right.
What about a left hand man?
No, he's right hand. I'm right handed. So anyway, on with what the fuck. Pep came up with this one this week, and I almost put this out here as well. And I was like, there's no way anyone's going to go with this. And then you come up with the same suggestion. So the topic this week is what is your favorite piece of classical music? Of course, the concept of classical music, I can totally see someone like Coles thinking 90s music would be classical, but no, we're talking like old European culture, like Mozart.
Well, and I wrote classical, but really I meant symphonic. So if you really enjoy even part of the soundtrack to World of Warcraft, I would consider that counting. Anything symphonic.
Oh, all right.
But I mean, we both chose what would count as actually classical.
Yes, and I'll start this one off. And this is just my choir bias coming in. Handel's Messiah was my pick. And you might know this as the Hallelujah chorus. Hallelujah, that one. There was no feeling in a choir like pulling off a performance of Handel's Messiah. I went to 3 different schools, and each school performed it with their orchestra, and that's like the only song all year they performed with the band. It was great. It was a lot of fun. Not a whole lot more to say about that. It's a neat song. I like it. So, Dan, what you got?
Mine is Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto in D major, which is Opus 35. Uh, you might not recognize it. You probably don't recognize it. It's not a particularly popular piece. It's not played a whole lot.
Uh-huh.
If in terms of media, I mean, it's a popular piece for symphonies to play. But
Now I'm going to go ahead and play it here. The people on YouTube will not be able to hear it, but you should hear it on the Twitch stream. You won't hear it, Dan, unfortunately. I just want to see if I recognize this.
the very beginning is a little bit slow to pick up, but
It is.
It's basically it's a big violin solo, almost all the way through. It's like a 23-minute piece or something like that.
This has got it clocked in at 37. Wow.
Oh, okay, so longer than that. It's
I
quite
think I
long.
might recognize this.
The
Yeah, I
theme
recognize this.
Yeah, the theme is recognizable, but you won't be like, oh, that's from that thing. Like if you hear O Fortuna from Carmina Burana, you're like, oh, that's that dramatic music. And if
Yeah.
you hear what's it called? Like Palladio or some Palladium, I think is what it's called. Is like da 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 da. It's like the De Beers commercial or some diamond commercial.
Yes.
Like there's certain ones you recognize. This is like you're like, I've heard that before. Anyway, I went to the symphony and I saw a violin player. I think she's from China. Her name is Midori, and she's a fantastic violin player. Although I felt she was a little bit robotic with it. Like she played it all correctly, but there was a little bit less emotion behind it. But it was just amazing to see someone play the whole thing from memory, never making a mistake for like 40 minutes is just
that's amazing.
insane. And there's some very technically challenging parts.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I'm trying to remember. You mentioned about violin players being emotional. I mean, there's been a couple that I've seen, and this is not classical music, by the way. We're talking like Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Sure.
They toured with a violinist that was just wow. That's just the way that she'd play. And another one is getting into the gamer section is Critical Hit.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Oh man, yeah, that group's just fantastic.
I enjoy Lindsey Sterling. It's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a couple things that just came to mind there when you said that. But yeah, very cool. Were there any others that you had trouble picking between?
I do like, and I think that I may have said something about it a couple weeks ago when I wasn't on, and I don't remember what it was, like video game music or something. But Agnus Dei, which is a choral version of Adagio for strings, which is the opening music in the first Homeworld game when you first see the mothership in the scaffolding, and it's like a choir piece that you usually find in church, but it just was very. It's kind of like Messiah. It's like it's just very open and emotional, and seeing like this giant ship and realizing how big it is, and that you're kind of along for the ride for this whole game was really cool.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I mean, I look at this, and probably the only other the only other one that I could come up with is William Tell or Overture, which everybody knows. That one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only other one that even remotely comes to mind. But Handel's Messiah means a lot more to me on a personal level than that would ever would. So anyway, yeah, I think it's a pretty good topic. It would have been interesting to see what a couple of the others would say.
Well, we can revisit it sometime.
Yeah, we probably can. This is one of those that definitely is revisitable. Yeah, I've been thinking about that too because we're kind of coming up thin with what the thought topics. A couple of weeks we've kind of changed it up to what are you watching. So definitely, if you guys got any ideas as a good topic we can do for the segment, because we have a lot of fun with this topic. I mean, obviously, it has little to do with gaming, but it definitely adds a bit of flavor to it. So It's show's favorite part. I mean, you can't deny him that, right? So
His favorite part.
favorites. Yeah. So, all right. So that's What the Thok you're listening to, and that just about wraps up another episode of the Six Gaming Podcast. Dan, anything you want to leave our fellow listeners with?
I've been watching Orange is the New Black with my wife, and on a scale of 1 to completely stupid, the main character scores about a 20. I don't think I've ever hated the main character of a TV show quite as much as I do this main character. She's just, it's just so dumb, and
Wow.
I just want to reach through the TV and strangle her and be like, why are you being so dumb? All of these situations could have been avoided if you were not so dumb. And I just can't understand if the intention is for her to be that dumb, and then we're just supposed to just be like, aha, she's so dumb. Or if she's supposed to be like normal and we're not supposed to think she's that dumb, and oh no, the situation conspires to make her end up in poor circumstances. No, she's just dumb.
I mean, what's the entertainment value out of that?
I like all of the minor characters in the show. It has oh god, what's her name? The lady who played Janeway.
Oh, jeez.
Mulgrew. Kate Mulgrew.
Yes, Kate Mulgrew.
And she's like a
I
Russian.
knew part of her name.
Yeah, she's the chef, and she's Russian, and she has a bad accent and speaks Russian quite poorly. I mean, in reality, like she's supposed to be.
She did a lot of things poorly in Voyager.
Yeah. She's supposed to be able to speak it well, but my wife speaks fluent Russian. She's like, yeah, she speaks Russian pretty poorly. But, good on her for taking a role where she probably isn't very comfortable being. But it's an interesting show with interesting characters. I just hate the main character.
Yeah. Well, I don't watch a whole lot of TV these days. It's just a waste of time, in my opinion, just for what I do.
Yeah, well, I watch
a lot of people enjoy it.
I watch one episode of that with her every couple days, and I watch Doctor Who on the weekends, and that's it.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, there's some interesting shows out there that I would like to watch regularly if I didn't find TV such a waste of time, like Big Bang Theory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd love to watch that show. I've seen a couple episodes. It's hilarious. Bones, I always like that whenever I watch that. Yeah, that's just a pretty neat series. So anyway. What I got? I've been playing a lot of League of Legends lately. Of course, I do my Ron's Bronze plays on the weekend. And this last Sunday, I did a 9.5-hour marathon and did a bunch of games with Coles. And I posted a video on YouTube that is, if you've ever played League before, check it out. I'm playing Morgana support. And Thresh, of all people, going over to get the blue buff. And you'll be amazed at what happens next.
Did you just turn this podcast into clickbait?
I did. And that's how we're going to end the show. All right, folks. I hear that facepalm. Yes, we do have a facepalm on this episode. This is the Six Gaming Podcast. I'm Ron Klee.
I'm Dan.
And we'll see you next week. See you, bye. Well played, sir. Well played.